Okay, I'm going to lay something heavy on you. This is really significant. I may go 1 minute long, but this is a very important point. Okay. A few years ago, for some reason or other, I was poking around on Bob Spring's website. You all know who Bob Spring is. One of the great technicians and clarinetists in the country. He's out of Arizona State. You were just out that way. Okay. Bob Spring on his website a few years ago had an article called "My Musician in Muscle" or whatever. It's written by this neurologist, or as we say in Texas, a brain guy. Okay. There's a brain guy named Frank R. Wilson, a neurologist for a neurologist, and this guy, Frank R. Wilson, 40 years ago, was studying how musicians learn music. Okay? And so he was, and the article's kind of thick, it's kind of like, oh man, what does that mean, It's written in scientific jargon, right? So anyway, but I studied and read it, and I pulled a few things out of it that I think were useful. And I think Bob Spring heavily used these concepts in his career to play this unbelievably difficult music that he plays, right? Okay, and so, but Frank R. Wilson's ideas are very interesting, and I want to lay them on you because they'll be really germane as you try to put more relaxation and other things into a piece of music or into your own playing. Okay, and so what did Frank R. Wilson say, Mike? Well, what Frank R. Wilson said. And this is my own take on it. This is why this has not appeared in my blog. Okay, I have this, for those of you that don't know, I have this blog. I write all kinds of stuff in it. A lot of this, some of it is supporting my career, but 3/4 of it, 4/5 of it, or whatever, is actually pedagogy. And there's a special emphasis for people in remote areas that don't have access to good clarinet teaching, by the way. And that's a lot of people out there in remote Texas or remote wherever. Okay? But nevertheless, but I haven't figured out a way to blog this, right? Because I'm just not sure I'm getting, it's just difficult to break down Frank R. Wilson. But anyway, here's my take on Frank R. Wilson. He said that when we learn something, the information goes into a certain part of our brain. Okay? Because I used to teach 3rd grade Sunday school, let's all do this. Okay, here we go. Hand motions. Here we go. Ready? Come on, play along with ClarinetMike. Here we go. And information into a certain part of your brain. Okay? All right? And then eventually a thing called a motor strip, I like to think Xbox controller, puts the information from the loading area, right? And eventually it goes into another place I like to call the, guess what? Unloading area. Those are not technical terms, okay, for the brain guys out there. Okay, so everybody do this. Here we go. Come on, play along. Here we go. This is unloading area. I think we're going to check it. All right. So what does this have to do with clarinet playing? I'll tell you. All right. Here, everybody look up here. Okay. When I was, see my shoes? What did I do a little while ago? Tied my shoes. When I was a little boy, my mom, who by the way lives in Dallas Fort Worth, still alive, Grammy's still there. Gonna go see her hopefully soon. Can't wait to show her all these videos and all that stuff. And when I was a little boy, Grammy, my mom, she said, "Okay, Mike, you've got to learn how to tie your shoes." Okay! And so I'm tying shoes. What am I doing? Putting information into the loading area, right? Okay. But what did I do this morning? Bang! I tied them that fast without what? Without thinking about it. Okay? And so there's two things about this loading. Does that make sense? It's like brushing your teeth. When you're a little boy, little girl, you're just, I'm making a mess, right? And then what did you do this morning when you got up at dark 30 on your way to school? You're like one of the people in Metropolis, you know what I'm saying? That's an Artie reference there. Okay, and so you got up this morning, dark 30, boom, go. Right? Without thinking about it. So whether you're tying your shoes, brushing your teeth, or playing timepieces by rubbing your teeth, okay? It's all the same kind of thing. We're putting information into the loading area. Eventually the motor strip puts it into the unloading area, and you can just do it without thinking about it. Everybody grab a pencil and write this on the practice routine sheet, or at least write this down in the margin of your mind. Okay? There's at least two comments in this. You can write at the top of your page, loading/unloading. Okay? There's two things about it that are germane. There's probably a lot of them that are significant for us. But there's one that's really important, is this first one, is as much as possible, load only correct information. Write that down somewhere in your mind. As much as possible, load only correct information. As much as possible, load only correct information. Because you see, the cerebellum is a non-judgmental part of the brain. It would be just as an efficient automizer of incorrect sequences of timing as correct sequences of timing. That's a pretty close quote of Frank R. Wilson. In other words, your brain is like a non-judgmental hippie. Hey, cool, okay? And like, whatever you do, man, it's cool. It's cool. You're going to be tense, it's fine. You know? So your brain won't distinguish between being tense or relaxed. It'll remember, the tension will go into your muscle memory. You see, when I don't work on my embouchure, it's not just neutral, it's bad. Because I'm probably getting worse, right? Because there's a million ways to do something bad, there's only a few ways to do something well, right? So you have to work on it. So load as much as possible correct information. Does that make sense? See, nobody ever argues with me on this one because it's like the way we live our life, right? Whether you're, a professional photographer or whether you're a clarinetist or whatever, right? The second thing, this is significant, I'm going to lay this on you, then we're going to quickly get to the other. The second thing is, as much as possible, perform from the unloading area. As much as possible, perform from the unloading area. This is called, in baseball, what is this called? Being in the... Club, you're almost. The zone, very good. This is called being in the zone. And there's a guy with a real long name about that long called, he wrote the thing on flow state. Some of you may be familiar with that, quite familiar. Okay, reaching flow state, reaching flow state. That's why some of the elite conservatories, have a musical psychologist, a performance psychologist on staff, and they talk about getting into flow state and stuff like that. Okay, but the point is you want to play, that's why when you're playing along for like little kids and you don't care how you sound, you can just play. But when you get in front of Professor Gilbert, it's not quite so easy, right? Okay? It's the same kind of thing. So you want to stay in, you want to try to perform as much as possible from the unloading. So I want you to play the first line for here, be as relaxed as you can, and try to play from your unloading area. And don't worry if you're going to make a mistake or not. 2 lines and we're out of it. Try it.